Hi, and welcome back to I Eat, I Read, I Watch. Don't just eat alone, dine solo. You're worth it. It's not hard to do. Today, I'm eating salmon with roasted veg on a quinoa patty. Last time I shared with you, I'm trying to health up my diet. It's a work in progress for sure, especially as I work through the lovely, creamy, cholesterol-heavy stuff my fridge usually contains. But I am trying. So I bought salmon, a fish with good fat. I knew it would go well with green peppers, mushrooms, and zucchini, all of which I almost always have on hand. But the question was, what would I do for a starch? Quinoa is not my favorite grain. Actually, it's technically a seed. I've just learned, so there you go. It's a bit bitter, and half the bag I bought on my last health kick was sitting at the back of the cupboard. Time to use it, I thought. I followed the recipe on the package. 1 cup quinoa, 2 cups liquid, bring to a boil and let simmer for 25 minutes and then drain. I put the salmon with a tiny skiff of mayo mixed with a little dried dill and salt and pepper into a preheated 350 oven with a few mushrooms, half a chopped zook, and half a chopped pepper tossed in a little oil. I figured at 25 minutes, when the quinoa is done, everything would be done. The fish was perfect. The quinoa, however, turned into glue. Clearly that method isn't a good one, and I wasn't going to salvage it easily. So I Googled what to do with gluey quinoa, and up popped a patty. Mix half the ruined quinoa with a whisked egg, some breadcrumbs, and flavor of your choice. I chose garlic powder, salt and pepper, and a little umami seasoning because what isn't improved by umami? I heated a cast iron frying pan with a little grapeseed oil and dropped a spoonful of the quinoa patty mixture to a satisfying sizzle. It took a little longer to get crispy, my goal, than I'd expected, but eventually I produced a decent patty as the base for the meal. Will repeat another time. Well, to be honest, I have to, because the rest of the quinoa is pretty inedible. Or find something else to do with it anyway. The meal? Nice, especially paired with hibiscus rosehip kombucha. Very healthy. Prep time, 40 minutes or so, longer than expected because of the quinoa hiccup. Origin, in the dead of winter, it's hard to get locally grown veg. Salmon and quinoa, not so much either. Hey, I'm not perfect. Cost, I'd say about $9 for the 2 meals of salmon. The rest was pretty inexpensive. Have you got a trick with quinoa? If so, I'd love to hear about it in the comments on my blog. So what am I reading? Well, as I said last time, Book of Lives, a memoir of sorts by Margaret Atwood, and this time I finished it. There's a reason Margaret Atwood has racked up an impressive list of writing credits, awards, TV shows, and movies, and has a name that I'm hoping is known to most Canadians anyway. She's funny, and she's dark, and she's really, really readable. So while reading a 550-page memoir in 2 weeks might sound ambitious, reading hers at that pace was a pleasure. The world of memoir workshops, of which I've taken nearly countless in the last 5 years, is very clear. No one wants to read a book about your whole life. Pick a time or an aspect, a container in the memoir writing parlance, and focus on that. It shouldn't be just what happened, but should focus on why what happened matters. The exception, of course, is Margaret Atwood. If she wants to write about her infancy through to her dotage and talk mostly about what happened, it's going to be engaging. Truthfully, a lot of what happened to Margaret Atwood really has mattered a great deal in the world, sometimes because she did it, but sometimes just because she had very good instincts about when to do things, or she was lucky. Her obvious contribution is, of course, her magnificent feminist dystopia, The Handmaid's Tale, which was controversial when she released it in 1985, when abortion rights had not yet even been granted in Canada, but even more timely when it became televised just at the time of the first Trump presidency. While we all felt it was Hillary's chance and the dramatization of The Handmaid's Tale would be more about what we dodged, his win made us realize the things happening to Offred and the gang could be in our future, striking down Roe v. Wade, of course, as an example. The last few pages of Atwood's memoir were the toughest for me. Her longtime partner, Graham Gibson, died a few months before COVID after living with dementia for a few years. She writes about how difficult it is to watch someone you love slip away and the complexity of grief, especially during lockdowns. While I'd been laughing regularly in the preceding 500-plus pages, the last 30 made me cry. I first heard her talk about her husband's death on the CBC. The interviewer, I think it was Eleanor Wachtel, asked her how she could talk about it so easily, and Atwood replied that when you have a good story, you have to share it. By doing so, she helped to normalize talking about the death of a spouse for so many, including me. I'm grateful. While I read a number of Atwood novels in the 90s and early 2000s, including my favorite, The Edible Woman, I somehow sidestepped The Handmaid's Tale until Deepest, Darkest COVID. Her language is so beautiful, I wanted the words to echo through my living room and hang in the air, so I read it aloud. Now I've finished her memoir, I'm going to finally open my copy of the Testaments. Maybe if you listen carefully, you'll hear me read those words too. What's your favorite Atwood book? Please note it in the comments on my blog. Finally, what am I watching? Well, Shetland. I've already seen so many of the UK dramas from a decade ago. They were the wind-down material for evenings with Jack. We'd lie in bed together, where I insisted the TV be. After an episode or two, I'd go to sleep, but often he'd go back to his computer downstairs to settle in to watch something else. Sometimes he couldn't resist the urge to continue with the series we were watching, much to my irritation. Shetland, as I recall, was one of those. It makes sense. The show is just that good. I've started at the beginning again, and I'm slowly working through it, knowing that there are now 10 seasons. I'm seeing it through new eyes, while the deep sadness of the lead character, widower Jimmy Perez, was lost on partnered Celia. Widowed Celia understands the roots of his moodiness. Plots are great too, as is the wild North Atlantic scenery. If you've seen something good lately, make sure you add it to the comments on my blog. And thanks for watching.